Hello, welcome to Mary's Virtual Healthatorium, and today we are talking about the gut-brain axis and its headquarters, the vagus nerve. And there's so much to say about all of this, but we only have 10 minutes today, and I hope this will be beneficial for you. Have you ever felt like you had butterflies in your stomach when you were about to speak in public? Or have you ever described the loss of a loved one as gut-wrenching? Well, these are more than just expressions. They reflect a real connection between your digestive system and your brain. This link, which is called the gut-brain connection or the gut-brain axis, is a fascinating area of modern medical scientific research. It shows that your gut health affects your mood, your mental clarity, and overall well being. For a long time, mental health and digestive health were treated separately. And now research shows that they're very closely connected. In fact, um, the there we go. If you kind of take a look at this little map I have here, a lot of the different cells and neurotransmitters are shared by the gut and the brain. And the gut is often called the second brain. And we're going to talk about the science behind this link, how your gut affects your brain, and vice versa. And we're going to talk about practical steps to support this complex. Now, the gut-brain axis is a two-way communication system connecting your brain and spinal cord, or your central nervous system, with the neurons in your gut. Messages travel through nerves and hormones and immune molecules. So think of this axis as a superhighway. Your brain sends signals to your gut that affect digestion and mood, while your gut sends signals back that influence your thoughts and emotions. Now, one of these highways is called the vagus nerve, and this nerve serves as the headquarters of all of the other nerves. So, if you're having a panic attack, if you're having an anxiety attack, and even this is very complex. However, if you activate the vagus nerve, that is the nerve that tells all of the other nerves to calm down. So this is vitally important to know. There's so much to know about the vagus nerve uh, that we can't talk about in 10 minutes, but let's talk about it this way. It is the longest nerve in the human body. And like I said, it's the main headquarters between the brain and the gut. Around 80 to 90% of its fibers carry information between the two organs. A healthy gut sends positive signals that support well being, while gut inflammation can send stress signals, which contribute to anxiety, low mood, or brain fog. Simple practices like deep breathing, humming, and exposure to cold, like cold water, can stimulate the vagus nerve and improve this connection. So, when one organ is thinking bad thoughts or feeling in a bad way, so is the other organ, and that vagus nerve can switch that traffic around. And I'm putting it in very layman's terms, but this is scientific fact. Additionally, your gut produces something called neurotransmitters. And your neurotransmitters are chemicals that help the brain and well, it really helps the brain communicate. And these include amino acids, peptides, and mono. Oh, I always forget how to pronounce this word. I got an A in anatomy and physiology. Monoamines, monoamines. Let's just make it easy and say monoamines. One of the monoamines is called serotonin, and I'm sure you've heard of serotonin. About 90% of serotonin, and this is a chemical that regulates mood, sleep, and and appetite. 90% of serotonin, believe it or not, comes from the gut. Gut microbes also produce GABA, a chemical that calms the brain and reduces anxiety. So this is how the two organs communicate, is through these wonderful neurotransmitters. An imbalance in the gut bacteria can reduce production of these chemicals, directly affecting how you feel. Now, the gut microbiome, or this colony that lives in your gut, is a community of trillions of bacteria, viruses, and fungi, or some of us say fungi, that lives in your intestines. And this is central to the gut brain connection. And the microbiome's health is essential to overall brain and digestive function. So some of us don't realize this. When we think of bacteria, we think it's bad, but there's good bacteria, and your insides are alive with this stuff, and you want it that way. So if you ever heard of the term probiotics or even prebiotics, these are good bacteria. I take one called acidophilus, especially when I'm not feeling very well, or if I'm going to be going overseas and I'm not used to the water or the food or something. I make sure 6 months before I leave, I'm taking acidophilus, and then I never get sick. Anyway, a healthy microbiome is diverse, millions, even more, and full of beneficial bacteria. And these good bugs, if you will, help to digest your food, make vitamins, strengthen the gut lining, and prevent harmful bacteria from taking over. Disruption in this community allows the bad bugs to grow. Common disruptions include eating sugar and processed foods, chronic stress. So we're all vulnerable to all of this. Some of us take too many antibiotics and not getting enough sleep, getting poor sleep. This can lead to inflammation of the gut and change how neurotransmitters are produced, which affect directly your mood and your digestion. Gut bacteria produces metabolites, which are small, naturally occurring molecules in your digestive system. One type of metabolite, which is a short chain fatty acid, or SCFAs for short, reduce inflammation and they protect the brain. SCFAs also influence the brain's immune cells and keep them healthy and balanced. So the state of your microbiome, your gut microbiome, directly influences emotional resilience. In other words, if you are suffering from anxiety, and if you are suffering from panic attacks and depression, yes, there's external factors that, you know, that are at play here, but your anxiety is not all in your head, it's also in your gut. So, what can we do? We can't solve all of our problems, but we can strengthen ourselves. And what can we do specifically to strengthen the gut brain axis and vagus nerve function? One of those things is to feed your microbiome, feed it with healthy prebiotics and probiotics. Now, again, the probiotics are live beneficial bacteria. You can find them in fermented foods such as yogurt with live cultures, not the overly sweet stuff, but like the true yogurt. Um, Kimchi, you can make your own kimchi. Yes, you can buy it at the store, but I'm telling you, it's fun to make. It's really delicious, and um, it's just a fun little like project for yourself. So make your own kimchi, sauerkraut, kombucha. These are probiotics. Or you can take, like I said, there's so many. Acidophilus is one. Um, Lactobifidus, I think, is the other one. I probably mispronounced it, but there's a bunch of them that you can take. And then prebiotics, you'll find that in garlic. You'll find it in onions, leeks, asparagus, bananas, and oats. And these act as food for the healthy bacteria to eat and to digest. Another thing we can do is to diversify our plates with a diverse microbiome. Eating a wide variety of plant-based foods feeds different bacteria. The American Gut Project found people who consumed over 30 plant types weekly had significantly more diverse microbiomes than those who ate 10 or fewer. And, I have to hold myself accountable to that because I don't think I eat 30 plant types weekly. I really doubt it. So, I have some work here to do. Um, and other than what we're eating, we need to manage stress. Yeah, easier said than done. We need to manage our stress in order to soothe our gut and our brain because chronic stress disrupts this axis. So you're producing cortisol when you're in your fight and flight state. And cortisol is good. It helps you wake up in the morning. It helps you basically, walk to the bus stop or get your kids from school. We need cortisol, but too many of us have an overabundance of cortisol and it will show up as fat around the waistline. And I'm living proof of this. I have an overabundance of cortisol, and I need to figure out a way to shut it off because if that doesn't happen, then what happens when you go to sleep is your growth hormone cannot turn on. And for adults, growth hormone still secretes because it repairs our tissues. For children, it helps them grow, but once you're not a child anymore, it still helps you by repairing damaged tissues. But when you have too much cortisol, you can't make that switch over at night when you're sleeping. So, what will help us reduce stress and get better sleep? Meditation, yoga, walking in nature, deep breathing exercises. These stimulate the vagus nerve and it promotes a rest and digest, a feed and breed state of being, which is counter to fight or flight. And I mentioned sleep. Prioritize your sleep. Poor sleep alters your gut flora in as little as 2 days. Aim for 7 or 8 hours of quality sleep every night to allow your microbiome to repair and rebalance. I've actually forced myself to go to bed early. And it's not something I like to do, especially when the sun is still out. But I do it because I have a hard time falling asleep. So I get in bed and I read until I knock myself out, or I write until I knock out. And my objective is to, get up to that 7 or 8 hours that we need. Also, consider an elimination diet if you're always walking around with an upset stomach, you might have a food sensitivity. So you might want to eliminate gluten one time to see if that helps you. If that doesn't make a difference, eliminate dairy. These cause inflammation. And, some of us need a professional to help us with this. So talk to your doctor, talk to a dietitian, and maybe they can help you through your elimination diet. Further, for vagus nerve health, we're doing the deep diaphragmatic breath. So I think I have a video where we're doing that, or I will certainly add some videos where we're practicing deep diaphragmatic breathing. It's controlled breath. It's actually literally saved my life before. Maybe I'll talk about that in another video. Cold exposure. So splash your face like with really cold water, or jump in the shower for a couple of minutes with really cold water. It's really good for your organs, not just the gut and the brain, but all of your organs, because what happens is when you get that kind of shock of cold water, all of your blood rushes to the center part of your body, bringing rich oxygenated blood to the gut. And then when you get into more room temperature situation right after the cold, then the blood begins to kind of flood back into the rest of the body, and it's replenished and it's reoxygenated, and it's really great for your joints, for your gut, for your brain, for your eyes, everything. Um, Again, there's scientific proof behind this. Take your prebiotics, take your probiotics, get gentle massages. Everyone wants a deep tissue massage because they think that's the only massage that will work, and that's not true. Sometimes we just need to relax, and that gentle massage will get us there. So if you have too much going on, too much responsibility, too much overthinking, too much anxiety, try that gentle massage once in a while. And cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, it's a type of psychotherapy that challenges your negative thoughts. It's not like regular talk therapy. It's maybe I'll do a video on that one day. But it's incredibly beneficial. Cognitive behavioral therapy. So I'm at the end of the video and I didn't show you the rest of my pretty pictures. So I'm going to kind of do that really quickly. So see how the plate is kind of mapped out here? Just make sure like a good half of that is vegetables, like a good salad or something. Um, have a little fruit, have a couple, a little handful of seeds or something. And then, like a quarter of your plate can be your starchy vegetables or your rice. But, kind of eat the rainbow, as they say. And here's your water therapy. And I'll probably do a video on that one day too. But in conclusion, for this video, it is important to realize that your body is not working against you, because sometimes you feel betrayed by your body. I certainly do. Having gone through menopause, I feel like, what is my body thinking? No, what it's doing is it's sending messages in order to inform you of changes, and they do that in order to protect you. Your body is your friend. Be a friend back to it. And for now, I bid you farewell, but I will see you again very soon.